2020 జేఈఈ మెయిన్ ఫలితాలలో ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ విద్యార్థుల ప్రభంజనం. ఆల్ ఇండియా అన్ని కేటగిరీస్లు 18, 35, 251, 253, 582, 606, 778, 780, 812, 821, 1031, 1039, 1303, 1575, 1654, 1753, 1754, 1978 ర్యాంకులే కాక మరెన్నో ఉత్తమ ఫలితాలు సాధించిన విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్. ఈ
Hello students, now let us continue with our classification of bacteria. Where are we exactly? Classification of bacteria based on nutrition. So based on nutrition in lower classes you know autotrophs and you know what are called heterotrophs. But here we have further classified autotrophs into two categories, photoautotrophs and chemoautotrophs. Guys, this classification is very important and final need compulsory we have a chance to get one question from this block diagram, that is classification of bacteria. Every year NEET paper we get one example or one question we get it on the examples given under 4 categories. So this block diagram is very important for all of you. So make sure that you take the horizontal page, write down the 4 columns, 4 categories and see in each category we are trying to differentiate in terms of source of carbon and energy. With these two parameters we are classifying, we are dividing into 4 categories. What's the first one? Photoautotrophs. What are photoautotrophs? These way they depend on source of carbon from atmospheric carbon dioxide and they take energy from sunlight. They prepare their own food, that's why they are called photoautotrophs. What are the examples? Chlorobium, it's commonly called green sulfur bacteria. Chromatium, purple green sulfur bacteria. Classification is very important. See from where they get carbon, see from where they get energy and try to remember along with the examples. Now go with the second category, chemoautotrophs, where the source of carbon is from atmospheric carbon dioxide, source of energy they get from oxidation of inorganic materials and they prepare their own food material and they take food from they prepare food from breaking down inorganic compounds. That's why they are called chemoautotrophs. What are the examples here? But before we talk about examples, very important question there is the possibility of getting from this category. They play very important role in nutrient cycles, or we call mineral recycling, or we call biogeochemical cycles like nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, sulfur cycle. And which bacteria play an important role means Nitrobacter, Nitrosomonas, both of the bacteria plays an important role in nitrogen cycle. So they are called nitrifying bacteria. Similarly, you can also add ammonifying bacteria, that also plays an important role in nitrogen cycle. Beggiota, sulfur bacteria. So another sulfur bacteria you can take another one, Thiobacillus. Iron bacteria nothing but Ferrobacillus. So these all bacteria fall in the category called chemoautotrophs. Now let us continue further categorizing heterotrophs into 2 categories. What are heterotrophs? You know, studied in lower classes. Heterotrophs here they depend on other organisms for the food and nutrition, but here some of them they depend on sunlight, so they are called photoheterotrophs, and some of them they depend upon chemical components, they are called chemoheterotrophs. So my sincere suggestion to all of you, make sure that you practice all 4 categories along with the examples. Quite a number of times you practice and try to remember all these examples. So let us continue our discussion with the third category, they are photoheterotrophs. In photoheterotrophs if you look at, so I'll just, this part is completed, so let us take some space to continue this. So I'll erase this completely. Now here we are discussing about photoheterotrophs. So for photoheterotrophs, the source of carbon is and we have to discuss source of energy. So, source of carbon in this case, they get the carbon from oxidation of organic materials. They get from where? Oxidation of organic materials. And where do they get energy? Energy is from photo, means they get energy from sunlight. Right guys, you have to remember C means carbon, E means energy. So these photoheterotrophs, they get carbon from oxidation of organic materials. So try to remember here, they break the organic materials and they take the carbon from organic materials, but they get energy directly from sunlight. Such type of organisms are called photoheterotrophs. Now let us write the examples for photoheterotrophs. So here we can take examples. Rhodospirillum and Rhodopseudomonas. Rhodospirillum, Rhodopseudomonas, and also Rhodomicrobium. So, which bacteria fall as examples here? They are nothing but Rhodospirillum, Rhodopseudomonas, Rhodomicrobium. These bacteria act as an examples for photoheterotrophs, where they get carbon by breakdown or oxidation of organic materials and they get energy from sunlight. Such category are called as photoheterotrophs. Now let us go to the next one, chemoheterotrophs. Now these chemoheterotrophs, if you look at, so here we write source of carbon as well as source of energy. For both it is oxidation of organic materials. For both they depend upon oxidation of organic compounds. What's the meaning of this? They get carbon from organic material, energy also from organic compounds. So sometimes there is a possibility of getting the question that in which category or which type of bacteria they depend for both carbon and energy on oxidation of organic compounds. Then you have to choose the option as chemoheterotrophs. They are very, very important. So here they get carbon from by breakdown of organic material, energy also they get it from oxidation of organic compounds. So both carbon and energy, both they get it by the oxidation of organic compound. Such category of organisms are called chemoheterotrophs. So when you take chemoheterotrophs, I said they are very, very important. In what way they are very important? Now these all, they play a vital role in biotechnology as well as in antibiotics as well as in extraction of minerals. So if you look at these categories, these chemoheterotrophs, these categories, chemoheterotrophs are further divided into 3 types. Further divided into how many types? They divided into 3 types. What are they? They are nothing but parasites. Some are called as parasites. Some are called saprophytes or decomposers. And some are called as symbionts. 3 categories. Right? So if you look at, some are called parasites, some are called as decomposers or saprophytes, and some are called as symbionts. So if you look at, what are these parasites? Parasites are nothing but, these parasites, they depend on other organisms for the intake of the food materials. Sometimes most of the parasites are pathogenic in nature. They kill or destroy the host plant or the host organism, and they take all the nutrients and food materials from the host organism. They are called as parasites. Parasites means these parasitic organisms, they depend on other organisms. They depend on host. Parasites always they are called parasite because they depend on host for the food materials and nutrients. They are called parasites, right? So the parasites, the best example for parasite, you can take example Clostridium and Pseudomonas. Clostridium and Pseudomonas. Guys, these examples are important. Previously, we have a NEET question on the example of Clostridium. So, it was a previous NEET question. Remember? So, here chemoheterotrophs, here if you look at the source of carbon and source of energy. For both these organisms, they depend on oxidation of organic compound. So, they further divide into three types. They are called parasites, saprophytes or decomposers, and the third category is symbionts. Parasites, they depend on the host. Let us take example Clostridium and Pseudomonas. And second category, saprophytes or decomposers, they feed on dead and decaying organic matter. They feed on dead and decaying organic matter. So, as I told you earlier, when plant and animal undergo dead and decomposition, so these bacteria, they grow there and they cause the breakdown of large complex molecules into simpler molecules. That is why they are called decomposers, or also called as what? Saprophytes. These find growing on dead and decaying organic matter. So, what not here you can take example. The example for saprophytes you can take Bacillus species. What is the example? You can take example Bacillus. Similarly, coming to third category, symbionts. What are symbionts here? Symbionts are nothing but they are mutually benefited. Symbionts are nothing but what? Mutually benefited. Means they take food and in return they provide shelter, or here they get shelter from the plant, in return they supply nitrogen. The organisms which are mutually benefited are called symbionts. Let us take example for symbionts. Our familiar example is Rhizobium. What is the best example? Rhizobium. All of you know very well, Rhizobium shows symbiotic association with root nodules of legumes. Root nodules of legumes. We discussed this in morphology, we discussed this point in taxonomy, and we know very well even in root modifications we discussed. So, some of the bacteria of chemoheterotrophs, they act as symbionts. The best example is Rhizobium. Rhizobium shows symbiotic association with root nodules of legumes. Right? Now, at the same time, if you look at the fourth category, they are nothing but chemoheterotrophs, and these chemoheterotrophs, here if you look at these chemoheterotrophs, they play an important role in, so you can take medicines, especially antibiotics. Not only medicines and antibiotics, here they also play a vital role in. So, I'll erase this. So, you have to remember carbon and energy both they get from oxidation of chemical compounds. So, these chemoheterotrophs, they play a very important role in medicines, in extraction of antibiotics. Not only that, they also play an important role in biotechnology, as well as in act as biosensors in identification of minerals. and identification of minerals. So there are not many uses with the fourth category called chemi-heterotrophs. Chemi-heterotrophs, even we have possibility of getting this question. In what way they are useful means here they play very important role in medicines. From these chemoheterotrophs, like if you take Streptomyces griseella, that is belong to the fourth category called chemoheterotroph. From Streptomyces there is an antibiotic which is extracted called streptomycin. Not only that, from Streptomyces species nearly 200 different strains of antibiotics are extracted. Streptomyces gracious or Streptomyces different species. Streptomyces is a genus name. It includes so many species. From different species of streptomycin, different antibiotics are extracted. Alone from Streptomyces genus, nearly 200 different strains of species, 200 different types of antibiotics are extracted, and still they are extracting different antibiotics from different bacteria, and those bacteria belong to the category called chemoheterotrophs. So used in medicines in the extraction of antibiotics, and they are widely used in biotechnology. In biotechnology, if you take fine, sir. Hello students, now let us continue with biological classification. Now in biological classification, for the if you look at, we are in the discussion about archaebacteria. That means bacteria, it's most commonly found organism which find everywhere in the environment, and it's a primitive organism, moreover it's a prokaryote. So unicellular prokaryotes will fall in the category called as Monera. Now where are we? We are in the discussion about the kingdom called Monera. So we are here in the discussion about what is the kingdom Monera. So in kingdom Monera, we discussed about the characteristics. We discussed about the characteristics, prokaryotic, unicellular, what not, nucleoid is there, genophore is there, cell organelles are absent, but 70th ribosome is present, right. So we discussed about characteristics of Monera. In that, even we have to, what to discuss means archaebacteria, eubacteria, mycoplasma, actinomycetes. So these are the things which we have to discuss under kingdom Monera. In that already we have studied what archaebacteria we completed. Now if you look at in archaebacteria, majorly if you talk about, it can tolerate extreme environmental conditions like thermoacidophilic, and we say it tolerate hot springs, thermo high temperature, high acidic condition, right. Even thermoplasma is an example. Marshy areas, methanogens are there. Some tolerates high acidic condition, they are called acidophiles. Like that we have discussed about what we call archaebacteria. So we even completed the study of archaebacteria. Right. So we completed discussion about archaebacteria. Now apart from archaebacteria, and we have to continue our discussion with eubacteria. Eubacteria itself is called as a true bacteria. Eubacteria itself are called as what? A true bacteria. Now when you take eubacteria or true bacteria, we started discussing about the shape and size. What will come? Monococci, diplococci, streptococcus, staphylococcus, right? Rod shaped, spherical shaped bacteria. And rod shaped bacteria is called bacilli, and comma shaped bacteria is called vibrio, and spiral shaped bacteria it's called as spirillum. Like that we have discussed. Along with that, even we discussed about classification of bacteria based on nutrition. Classification of bacteria based on nutrition. So even we have discussed about this classification of bacteria based on nutrition. Now in that we discussed that it is divided into 4 categories. What are the 4 categories? We say photoautotrophs, right? We discussed that they are photoautotrophs, and some are called as chemoautotrophs. Other one are called as photoheterotrophs, and last category called as chemoheterotrophs. So we have discussed about this is one of the classification where here these all 4 categories includes examples, and those examples are very important. So we have discussed about classification of bacteria based on nutrition. This is one thing which is very important, and try to remember the examples which we have discussed for all 4 categories. Very important. Apart from this, even we discussed classification of bacteria. Classification of bacteria based on shape and structure. Based on the shape and structure. So when you look at here the classification of bacteria based on nutrition, photoautotrophs, what are the examples? Chlorobium, Chromacium. Chemoautotrophs, what are the examples? They play a vital role in recycling of nutrients like Nitrosococcus, Nitrosomonas, Thiobacillus and all will come. Photoheterotrophs, Rhodospirillum, Rhodomicrobium, right? Those all will come under photoheterotrophs. Chemoheterotrophs, you know they are further divided into parasites and decomposers like saprophytes, and here you can take Xanthomonas, Bacillus, all examples, and they play a vital role in the preparation of antibiotics and medicines. So basically these all 4 categories we discussed based on the source of carbon. So here if you take the source of carbon and the source of energy, right? So if you take based on the source of carbon, based on the source of energy, we classified into 4 categories. Now similarly when it looks to the matter of structure, so here classification of bacteria based on the structure. Now if you look at, you know, a spherical shaped one is called cocci or coccus. Right, this is again further divided into mono, diplo, strepto, staphylo, sarcina. Then a rod shaped bacteria is called as bacilli or bacillus. So this is how it looks like, right, as I told you. Vibrio, it's nothing but a comma shaped bacteria. So it's called Vibrium or we call Vibrio. So in this case, this is called Vibrio or Vibrium. Then what we can call a spiral shaped bacteria, or we call spiralli or spiral or spiralli, or we call spirillum. Spiralli or spirillum, it's nothing but what? A spiral shaped bacteria. So this is the classification of bacteria based on nutrition. This is the classification of bacteria based on the structure, right? Now let us continue further here. Let us talk about the classification of bacteria based on flagella. Let us continue our discussion. Now we are trying to discuss different categories of bacteria based on different parameters. The nutrition classification is very important. Structure based on structure is also very important. Now let us discuss about classification of bacteria based on arrangement of flagella, based on arrangement of flagella. Right, now this let us discuss about this classification. What do we have to study? The arrangement of flagella. Now if you look at the bacteria, in generally you know it very well. This is the bacteria. The bacteria has a locomotory organelle. The surface of the bacteria, if you look at it, has a locomotory organelle called as what? Flagella. Now if you look at the outer layer, it's called as cell wall, and inner to this it's called as cell membrane. Outer layer it's called as cell wall, and inner to this is called as cell membrane. Now if you look at how flagella is present means, now if you look at the structure, it looks like this. Now this is at the base, right? So it's divided into base, hook, and this is called fimbriae or filament. What you can write? Fimbriae. Either you can write fimbriae or you can write filament. Right? Base, or we call basal body. Base, or we call it as what? Basal body. Base or basal body, and the middle portion in between cell wall and cell membrane, the middle portion is called as a hook. From there you can see the extension, the longest portion, what is extended outside. Now this portion is called as filament. So whenever you get the question that the longest portion of the flagella, so filament is referred as the longest portion of flagella, meaning which is longer in flagella. So when you take longest portion of the flagella here, we talk about the structure which lies outside the bacteria, it's called filament. Now filament extends from where to where? Outside the cell wall, from here, and this totally it's called as what? Filament. Now filament contain a special protein, and this special protein is called as flagellin. It contains a special protein called as what? Flagellin. So here it's made up of a special protein called as flagellin. Filament is made up of a protein. The protein is said to be flagellin. Try to remember this. The filament is the longest portion of the flagella. I am repeating the point. And here the filament is made up of the protein. The protein is said to be flagellin. Filament is made up of a special type of protein. The protein itself is called as a flagellin protein. Right? Now if you look at this here, this is hook and this is the basal part here. Now this is what we find the flagella. With the help of flagella, this total it's called as what? From here to here, we are talking about flagella. Flagella for the bacteria helps in locomotion. Flagella, what is present here? It helps in locomotion. What is locomotion? You all know it very well. The movement from one place to other place. With the help of this filament, with the help of this flagella, bacteria can glide on the surface of the slides, on the surface of the, even on smooth surfaces. It can glide even on rough surfaces, right? So with the help of flagella it makes to adhere tightly to the surface. With the help of the flagella, it tries to show rotational movement or gliding movement or sliding movement, and it tries to move from one place to other place. So flagella helps in locomotion. Now what we are discussing now, the classification of bacteria. based on the arrangement of flagella. Now look at the arrangement here. We have drawn only one flagella. For some bacteria we find many flagella, and for some bacteria we find flagella or tuft of flagella occurs at one corner. For some other bacteria we find flagella all over the surface. So based on the arrangement we classify the bacteria into different categories. Now let us continue that. Now here if you look at this bacteria, when we take here, first of all for some bacteria there is no thing that it should be present. There are some bacteria where they are without flagella, there are some bacteria they are with flagella. So here we can take the first condition as, the first category as Atrichus. What is the condition? We can take Atrichus. What's the meaning of Atrichus here? We say that bacteria without flagella, bacteria without flagella, meaning bacteria is present but the bacteria is lack of flagella. So if you look at this here, we can take example, but before taking example let us draw bacteria showing that there is no bacteria. So this is nothing but the bacteria. We are not drawing flagella at any corner. No, there is no flagella. So for this let us take example Lactobacillus and Pasteurella. Okay, so Atrichus meaning the bacteria without flagella. Flagella is totally absent. What we can see is only bacteria. Atrichus bacteria. What is the first category we call? Atrichus bacteria. So what is the example for Atrichus bacteria? We can take example like Lactobacillus, Pasteurella. Lactobacillus, Pasteurella are the examples for Atrichus bacteria. Now let us take the second category, Monotrichus. What is the second category? Monotrichus bacteria. So bacteria with one flagella or bacteria with single flagella. Right? Obviously when we say mono means one. So we say bacteria with single flagella, meaning only one flagella. So for this we can take example. So let us draw the diagram first. So this is the bacteria what we are drawing. Now we can see there is single flagella. There is only one flagella. So when bacteria occurs with one flagella, it's called Monotrichus. Now let us take example for this. So we can take example Vibrio as well as Xanthomonas. Vibrio as well as Xanthomonas. Right? Next. So bacteria with one flagella we can find in comma shaped bacteria called Vibrio and also found in case of Xanthomonas. These are nothing but names of bacteria or the examples of bacteria which exhibit that particular condition. Next is we can take Lophotrichus. The condition is Lophotrichus. What is the meaning of Lophotrichus here? Bacteria with one flagella or with tuft of flagella. Right? So we can take LOFO meaning either bacteria with one flagella or with tuft of flagella at one corner or at one end of the cell, at one end. Means at one corner either you can see a single flagella or you can see a tuft or bunch of flagella. So here if you look at Lophotrichus, it will be like this. So at one side you can see there are many flagella. Tuft of means, what's the meaning of tuft here? Tuft means a bunch of, group of many bacteria. They all arise and appears at one corner, at one end of the bacteria. Such type of bacteria is said to be Lophotrichus. Maybe sometimes you find bacteria with one with a combination of so many. Right? So bacteria with one flagella at one corner, it also come under Lophotrichus, but mostly we call that as Monotrichus. Or a tuft of flagella occurs at one corner of the bacteria, then it's said to be as what? Lophotrichus. Let us take example Spirillum. Where do you find most commonly such kind of arrangement? Spirillum. Guys, you all know it very well. What is spirillum? Spirillum is nothing but what? A spiral shaped bacteria. Spiral shaped bacteria contain what here? Lophotrichus, meaning a bunch of flagella. This all are bunch of flagella. Tuft of flagella originates from one end of the bacteria. It's called Lophotrichus. Most commonly we find in case of Spirillum. Right? Let us continue with this. Now let us go with next one as Amphitrichus. Let us continue with Amphitrichus. What is Amphitrichus here? Bacteria with a tuft of bacteria. Bacteria with what? A tuft of flagella. Tuft means
ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.